Something that I think is a very important thing to remind yourself if you're doing any type of healing, especially if it's chronic in nature or it's a big diagnosis that's been handed to you, is to think about the truth of the body. And one of those truths that I like to repeat often with my own patients is that we didn't learn about the scab and teach it to the body. And if you go into that even on your own, you will find depths and truths there that will blow you away and pour peace back into your body and delight back into your spirit, no matter what it is you're healing. So I would encourage you to do that on your own, because it's powerful when you arrive at these truths on your own. But I'll go into it a little bit more for those of you that are still here. So what's true is that the body knew how to produce the scab long before we had textbooks and tools to measure and name and quantify everything that goes into healing a cut and producing clotting factors and even the changes that happen within the tissues of the skin to create the healing that is known as the scab. And this is not a different process from everything else in the body. There's not a different blueprint for everything else that creates disease, dysfunction, pathology, and then the scab is something totally separate. And so this is where you've got to clear up and purify and go and let truth dictate how you are seeing and interpreting and understanding your physical body, because it works how it works even if you don't believe in it. Even if you subscribe to a different way of thinking, it doesn't change how the body's going to do things. And so just like with a scab, if you don't continue getting cut, you won't continue to produce the scab. And if you do continue to get cut and you continue to produce the scab, but you cut it off because it's unsightly, or it doesn't look like how skin should look, or it doesn't feel comfortable, this body will produce the scab again. And so this is how your entire body works. And it's a beautiful, magnificent process. It's just not as clear cut oftentimes as you get a cut, you produce a scab. And so that complexity leaves an opening to come in and seduce your intellect through various means to teach you how to view something. And if you were just left with yourself and watching the body and watching how it heals, you would get to these truths on your own, because a truth is a truth. There are no exceptions, even if the science of today doesn't have the language to understand it and doesn't agree with it at this time. We've seen it multiple times throughout history when it comes to medicine and science. So think about that, especially if you're in a position where you're really overwhelmed or really not trusting your body. Did we learn about the scab and teach it to the human body? Or did the human body know how to produce the scab perfectly? Absolutely perfectly, and we studied it. Which one is true? And if that's true, how does it make sense for the rest of your body that has the same blueprint written into every cellular process and all of these different things that come into the magnificence of your body? How does it make sense that everything else doesn't follow that same truth? And really go into it on your own. Don't let somebody lead you there. Really use your own intellect, your own thinking. Ask yourself these questions and go find an answer. And when you look for an answer, make sure it's true, meaning there are no exceptions. There's no exception to the rule. There's no, it only works if you believe in it. Go to the truth of these things and look through that perspective and enjoy the beauty and the power and the promise held when you find those answers, and then start applying those principles that align with those truths, and the results take care of themselves. So go and find that peace in your mind, in your intellect, in your body in this moment right now. The body didn't learn how to produce the scab from our intellect. The body already knew how to produce the scab only when the scab was required. And we learned about it. We are still developing tools to even name and quantify the depths of what's held in healing a cut.